Welcome back to my channel. Today it's a couple days to Mid-Autumn Festival and we're going to make Lotus mooncakes or yipping. Now the traditional mooncakes are made with lotus paste on the inside with a egg yolk in the center. Now this recipe is going to make it without the egg yolk, but please feel free to modify the recipe with the egg yolk. It will come out definitely the same. So let's hop into it and let me show you how to make this easy do-it-yourself mooncake. Alright, so obviously the main ingredient in this recipe is the lotus seeds. Now you can find the dried lotus seeds in any Chinese supermarkets. You can also use the paste form in the frozen aisle section if you want to skip the step completely. But I prefer to make it from the dry lotus seeds since it's a lot easier, but it'll take a lot longer time. So basically what you want to do with this is you want to take a couple of this, probably around 150 grams of this to 120 grams, and soak it for at least 16 hours to a couple of days overnight. Alright, so these dried lotus seeds been soaking overnight for at least 16 hours. And you notice that the biggest difference is that they plumped up overnight. See, this is a dry lotus seed, and this is a rehydrated seed. You can see how vastly different they are. See, it's much easier to pop it open versus a dried one, which is rock solid. Obviously, after you're soaking it overnight, you want to check inside and see whether it has any seeds inside. What you're looking for is a green seed. So this one, which I put off to the side, is one that I found that had a green seed inside. Obviously, if you find one of these lotus seeds with a seed inside, obviously you want to remove it and toss it out. So carefully inspect all your lotus seeds before you proceed to the next step. Alright, so to a pot of boiling water, you want to take your lotus seeds and just dump it in. Here you want to let the lotus seeds boil for at least 30 to 40 minutes until it's really soft. Alright, after boiling for 40 minutes, let's go ahead and drain the lotus seeds. What you need here is about 220 grams of cake flour. Now you can also use all-purpose flour, but I found in my cases that I found better success with using cake flour. Alright, you also need about 150 grams of this Lies golden syrup. The best place you can find this is off of Amazon. Now, I stick to this golden syrup rather than substituting for honey or molasses. You'll get completely different results. So alright, let's add this. You also need about 50 grams of a neutral oil like sunflower seed oil or peanut oil or rapeseed oil. Here I'm using about 50 grams of peanut oil. You also need about a half a teaspoon of lye water, which is basically if you have trouble finding lye water, this is basically what you're looking for. It's basically this potassium carbonate and sodium bicarbonate solution that you can find in any Chinese supermarket. Basically what this does is it lowers your pH of your solution to make it more alkaline. So pick this up for this recipe. All right, next just grab your chopsticks and just mix everything up. Alright, after everything's well incorporated, cover it and let it sit for at least 30 minutes on the side. And we'll check back on you with the lotus seeds. Alright, after drying off your lotus seeds and washing them, let's go ahead and grab your food processor or blender and let's puree this lotus seeds. Alright, let's go ahead and let's go puree this stuff. Alright, let's transfer your lotus paste to a non-stick pan. Alright, this is our lotus paste after blending it. It's pretty non-sticky. So, alright, we're going to proceed to the next step. To this, we're going to add about 115 grams of sugar, and about 90 grams of peanut oil. Now I'm going to add these in 2 batches and work them in. And let's go ahead. Alright, so this is the dough we're going to be using, and this is the Lotus paste. Now for this next part, this comes the fun part, making the mooncake press. You need a mooncake mold. Now on Amazon you can find these in 2 different sizes. This is the 100 gram mold, which comes as a square and circle. And you also have these cute 50 gram molds. Now for this, you can use either, it's up to you. These are the 50 grams, in my opinion, are more bite-sized, perfect for kids. And if you're using the eggs, the mooncake eggs, it's going to be very hard to fit one of the eggs into this thing. Even with the 100 grams, it's going to be really difficult to add a egg yolk into one of these things in your mold, which I'll talk about later. So if you really want to stick with the egg, you want to add the egg in the center of your mooncake, you need to get the 150 grams. I think the 100 grams is a little bit too small to add the egg yolk. Alright, with that said, let's proceed to the next step. So generally, when it comes to making your mooncake mold, I like to stick to a specific fixed ratio. So in this case, I like to use a 4:6 ratio. So that's be 4 parts of your pastry dough to 6 parts of your Lotus paste. But what I mean by that is, in this case, you're using a 100 gram mold. So that'll be 4 parts of your pastry dough, which is 40 grams to 60 grams of your Lotus paste. Now, if you're dead set on using an egg yolk in the center, that'll be the 6 parts will also include your egg yolk and your Lotus paste to make a total weight of 60 grams. So I'm going to go ahead and divide these evenly so I have everything set. So I'll see you back in a couple of seconds. Alright, now we have our pastry dough separated and our Lotus paste separated. Now if you found your pastry dough sticking to your nonstick mat, sprinkle it with a nice coat of cornstarch. This helps make things easier to work with. Alright, so for this part, it's really straightforward. Basically grab one of your pastry dough and just flatten it out in the palm of your hand as much as you can, and then just press it along the side as like you're making a pizza dough. And just make it bigger and bigger, just pressing it down. As such, once it's the size of your palm of your hand, just basically grab one of your Lotus paste and just dump it in the center. Here you just basically tuck it into a ball. As such. And then twirl it out. Make sure you cover all sides of the Lotus paste, and once you've got it to a nice ball, that's pretty much it. Alright, so now we have all our Lotus paste and our pastry balls. So we basically have a little mini mooncake ball. So the next part is that you want to make sure that all your mooncake balls are nicely coated and dusted with cornstarch. The cornstarch is going to prevent the mooncake ball from sticking from inside your mold. So basically, next part is pretty easy. Just grab one of your pastry molds, put it over your mooncake, as such. So generally here, I like to do is like press it down once slowly and then press it down rapidly, like about 5 or 6 times. So here, press it down once. So just generally where it's the bottom, and I like to press it down a couple more times just so the indentation from the mold presses nicely onto the mooncake. So once you have it in there, basically here, once you have it in there, you could basically transfer it to wherever you want to bake it. Here I have a baking sheet. I'm going to move this aside. So you can see. So basically here, just once you figure out where you want to place it and just press it down while holding the top like this. And it should come out. Presto. One beautiful mooncake. So I'm going to proceed to the rest and I'll get back to you when we start baking it. Alright, now we have our 10 mooncakes. Before we send it off into the oven, prepare yourself your egg wash. So this egg wash is basically the egg yolk separated from the egg whites, mixed with 1 teaspoon of water. Now we're going to cook the mooncake in 3 stages. The first stage, we're going to cook it at 375 without the egg wash for 5 minutes. So let's get to that and let's put it in the oven. Remember to cook this for 5 minutes and then we'll be back with you. So after cooking for the first 5 minutes at 375, reduce your temperature on your oven to 320 degrees Fahrenheit. You already noticed that some of the parts of the mooncake already turned brown. Now I'm going to apply our first egg wash. After applying your egg wash, cook it for another 5 minutes at 320 degrees Fahrenheit. Give it a second egg wash. Send it back in and we're going to cook it for another 10 to 15 minutes at 320 degrees Fahrenheit. Alright, after cooking for 12 minutes, we're going to let the mooncakes rest at room temperature for at least 1 to 3 days. The reason behind that is because of the lotus paste. Remember when we were making the lotus paste that we covered it with at least 90 grams of oil? Well, that oil is going to permeate from the inside to the outside. And that oil is going to give the mooncake its nice classical shiny sheen. So we're going to check back on the mooncake each day and see how it turns out. Alright, after resting for 2 days straight and wrestling these away from my kids, you can see that these mooncakes turn out beautiful. Just look at this one. You see a lot of the oil from the inside from the lotus paste diffused out into the pastry, giving it its nice classic sheen. And I gotta say, these do absolutely look beautiful. Alright, here's a cross-sectional cut of one of the mooncakes. And you can look on the inside how evenly well the lotus paste is cooked. I gotta say, if you've never tasted homemade mooncake, try this recipe out. They taste amazingly fresh compared to anything you can buy in the stores. So I hope you enjoyed that recipe. If you found the information in this video informative and interesting, hit the like button. If you want to see more of these contents, hit the subscribe buttons. If you have any thoughts, comments, suggestions, leave it in the section below. Till next time, peace out and happy cooking.